Oh, you've been wondering how to play Evolve Shaman? This is for you. Why should you listen, right? Well, I use it to get to Legend. My first time getting to Legend ever. Clearly, there are a lot of different packages, different variations of the Evolve. I use a relatively light one with no broom, no sea giants. I've got the Mogu Flesh Shaper here and the Faceless Corruptor. We've only got one Stormstrike here. And then we also have the two totems, EVIL Totems. Don't have the sea giants, and we don't have broomsticks. And we don't have the derailed coasters. This one typically has a pretty bad matchup against Mirror Evolve Shaman, because without the derailed, they essentially get to dictate the trades, especially if you don't have Lightning Bloom. Lightning Bloom is super powerful in that. We do have the Instructor Fireheart, which allows us to dig for any removals or anything else that the opponent might put in the way. And then we also do have a Boggspine Knuckles, which I thought has been pretty helpful against aggro matchups. Even if you only hit one or two minions, even totems, at the beginning of the game, sometimes it's just good enough to be a 3/3 body on there. All right, so very basic concepts. You need to hard mulligan for either a Cagematch Custodian or actually get the Boggspine Knuckles. Generally speaking, Cagematch Custodian or Boggspine Knuckles is what you want to go for, because this is literally how the deck works. If you don't have Cagematch Custodian or Boggspine Knuckles, you're going to want to draw for that ASAP. There are clearly other instances where you would probably keep certain cards here depending on the map. For example, Druid typically doesn't have very good removal early on. The big spell OTK Druid, they cannot deal. Even some secret mages typically don't want to use removal on a 0/2. So if you want to get greedy, you can keep the EVIL Totem. There's been some aggro warlock on ladder that are pretty aggressive, so you get the control variant, then you get the aggro variant. I think Sludge Slurper generally is a good keep against that. You obviously don't want to keep EVIL Totem because they would just take this out in a turn and you get no value out of this. Stormstrike I've found has saved me a couple times when it comes to those aggro, demon hunters, aggro warlock. You can basically clear 2 minions with this one in a single turn. That's always nice. If you do end up keeping the Boggspine Knuckles, depending on the matchup, generally speaking, you do want a Farsight and or a Dread Corsair. You want a Farsight because if you do hit a Desert Hare, or if you hit a Pitmaster that is corrupted, obviously you're going to corrupt it after you equip the Boggspine Knuckles, then you essentially get a 5, on turn 5, you get a pretty powerful Knuckles with a Pitmaster. And obviously these get evolved, so you get a 4-drop and 2 3-drops. And obviously the Dread Corsair, it's just free every time you equip the box. So you get a free 5-drop. Another thing here, Revolve. Generally speaking, you don't want to be using this for offense. You want to be using this one for defense. So for example, there's some control decks that would just put really big taunts or annoying taunts in the way. Like the Priest with the minion that destroys another minion when it gets destroyed. That one. Or if you're playing against a pure Libram Paladin, right? Libram Paladin, you can actually use this so that they lose their Librams. So, typically when they would buff a minion and you kill that minion, the Libram buff goes back to them. If you really want to mess with them, you use this. They've also got some really annoying taunts like, Devout Pupil with the Divine Shield, and it's a really awkward health for you to deal with. So this is also very... And again, obviously you have the Horde Pillager. I do not recommend summoning this unless it's a super aggro matchup and you really just need a body on board. But even then, it's got 2 health, so it can't really soak up that much damage. And again, Lightning Bloom is just really just for those turns where you want to kind of just pop off with the combo. You could have some very unfortunate games where you don't draw the Cagematch or you don't draw the Boggspine Knuckles. At that point, it gets really awkward, and there is really no good way to go about it because it's just pretty rare to even experience that. And 2, you really just have to survive. You're in survival mode at that point, right? The only offense you really have is revolving Desert Hare or comboing Desert Hare and Pitmaster with the Bogstraw Clacker. But yeah, so overall, that is how you use this package. And let's go see this in action. Try out my Evolve Shaman package in Legend. Most of the Warlocks we've seen have been Control variant, so we keep the cage match. And hopefully, I'm hoping we get Farsight, Red Corsair. I don't know what I want for the other one really, but maybe double Farsight would be cool too. Double cage match is really not that ideal. He didn't summon anything here. I typically wouldn't use a coin, but looks like a pretty decent turn 1, turn 2 cage match play. Plus we get to thin out the deck, which also increases the chances of drawing Farsight. Like so. Looks like we're gonna Farsight on 3. We don't have a good turn 4 yet.
Happy Feast of Wintervale.
Okay, I mean, if you're using Dark Skies with 6 cards on 2/2s, like, you know, I don't see that as a win. Awesome, we hit a Pitmaster. I mean, Desert Hare would be better, but Pitmaster is not bad at all. Okay, we can't play this because we don't want to overload next turn. The Fireheart may be an option, but typically don't like doing that this early on. I think we can probably play it a little slow here. Float 2 mana, which always feels bad, man.
Of the fallen. That's incredible.
So now the thing I'm scared about here would be the Plague of Flames, right? But I think we've got enough reload here that this is probably okay. Feels bad to take 6. I honestly should have done this too. Too excited, but if there is Plague of Flames, it's fine. Maybe we bait it out. I mean, this is pretty high statted here for a 3-drop. He knows I've got the 2 weapons in hand as well. Okay, so he's got that going for him. The good old Swamp Ooze tech card. Okay, so no Plague of Flames there. So this one would give me the weapon. It would make this playable. I'm gonna hit one of them just because, again, Plague of Flames. So pretty bad statted minions, to be honest. I mean, it's a 10-drop with 5. Yeah, I feel like we've got enough reload here to get through the edge, but again, turn 8 on a Warlock you gotta keep an eye on because of Twisted Nether. Okay, interesting play.
Just maybe. Blood and plunder.
No, I'm just gonna clear this. See what we hit with a Farsight. Revolve. Okay. Not great. Okay. We'll go Boggstrike here. The reload would be the Desert Air.
Guide me.
Bad stats, bad stats, bad stats. Not great. Wow, I mean, you kind of come by that one with Desert Hair, but generally speaking, these were pretty bad. You could make an argument for Evolve, but it's 8. They could just Twisted Nether anyway. Okay. Interesting play, sir. So we could technically dig or Bloodlust here. I think that would be lethal, so why don't we do that? We didn't get it. Don't think this is going to be useful. Have to use this, I think. I want to deal with this at all.
Let's shred.
Man.
Those little times.
I think we're gonna go face here.
Elements guide me.
Well, this is great. We're not gonna revolve here. We're gonna revolve just to save it in case he has taunts. Otherwise, lethal. And that's pretty simple, straightforward matchup against Galakrond Control Warlock. Let's do another one. Okay, so against, I think, pretty sure the only Druid variant in ladder right now, standard ladder, is the spell OTK one. Clearly we didn't get Boggspine or Cagematch, so we're just in a hard mulligan for those. If you get EVIL Totem, it's also not bad because they typically don't have a way to deal with it this early on. Coining here is probably not recommended because that just delays your Boggspine by another turn. And I'd argue it probably doesn't really do much for you to coin this out and then totem next turn. And it's really good that we got the Dread Corsair. That means we've got a turn 4 play here. Got to reload with the Horde Pillager, assuming it doesn't get Kobold Sticky Fingered. So I'm going to take a risk here, because if this pays off, it's going to be pretty huge. Let's see if he has or is willing to spend removal on these. I mean, Swipe. Swipe's still a card? I'm pretty sure it is. So you either have that or you ramp, in which case that means you don't have it. In which case, you are not going to be a happy druid, it looks like. Yeah, I mean, this is a really tough position because I think the goal of OTK Spell Druid, now I honestly don't play it, But you need to just survive and get all the combo pieces in hand. And I think, obviously, those combo pieces are removal. The more you use, the less you have for your win condition. And this is honestly an awful turn for them. I think that's less lethal without doing anything. I don't know if you calculated that, but again, against Druid, super easy. That one was too easy, so maybe another one. Druid is probably the easiest matchup. Another Warlock.
Let's have some fun.
For Doomhammer.
No, let's not do that. Let's stick with the cage match. At least try to get it. And we didn't get it. I mean, this is good just in case they are aggro. Revolve's also good in case they're aggro, because they do have the buffs. But I'm pretty sure it's Galakrond control.
Happy Feast of Wintervale.
We're just gonna Slurper here again. We need to start drawing something good. Okay, so he has no way to clear this right now. Generate some cards. These are probably the best right now. I'm a big fan. Create 2 damage from hand with one mana? I mean, come on. Very hard to beat that. Yeah, this is interesting. Okay, so we drew that. Awesome.
On wings of evil.
We're gonna do the Dragon Maw just for sticking power. Totem and face for this. I'm just trying to build big of a board here for a turn 5 play. Which looks like we've got a pretty good one. The double sludge opening was unexpected there.
It's perfectly fine.
And there goes our board. You could argue overextended. So we're just gonna hold here. Hopefully it doesn't get stolen. This has to be destroyed, not stolen. If it's stolen, this doesn't work. There's a few possibilities next turn here. Either he invokes, gets a bunch of minions, and we can play the Mogu. Or we get to draw Desert Hare. Even Pitmaster would be okay. Or Farsight into Desert Hare. Something like that. Would be okay. Okay, so we just got a dead draw there. We're gonna have to swing on that. I'm just trying to get some minions on here. That's not gonna stick. Yeah, so yeah, that was probably one of the worst draws you could get. Oh, he used Cascading Disaster on that. I mean, I guess he was pretty low, right? Yeah, we're just gonna go as wide as we can here. Okay, awful stats, so I think we have another swing. That's always nice when you get a charge. Uh-oh, looks like they've got a taunt.
It's perfectly harmless to me.
Don't you just love that?
Treasure? Loot? What more can I ask for?
We don't have a good reload here if this gets cleared, so I know it's scary because turn 8 Twisted Nether turn. Ooh. The death rattle on here is actually nice. Let's see if they're willing to do that. Any summon is also not great because Lake Thresher, unless it's like a big body. If it's a big body, we just don't even hit it at that point though. At which point we got 4, 8, 10, 13, 17, almost lethal. Stormstrike would make it lethal. Assuming no heals. He's tapped. Okay. I think that was just some desperation.
Out of my gun!
You're too kind.
So this is interesting. Do I swing first and then summon this?
You're too kind.
I think I do.
Elements guide me.
Again, I just want to make sure we have the death rattle here. Because even if he gets this, right, 3, has 3 attack. Well, he just healed, so now it doesn't work, but got the Boggspine too. Yeah, we want to deal with this. He just hovered over this. That was part of the plan. That's how you do it. Like 3 wins in a row. 3 wins in a row. That's how you play Legend Shaman.